This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. Between two-factor authentication, strong passwords, and a VPN, you try to be in control of how your info is protected. But many other places also have it, and they might not be as careful. That's why LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats. If your identity is stolen, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit lifelock.com/podcast for 40% off. Terms apply. This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary, not available in all states or situations.
Win or lose, we need to go out and create a memory and seize that moment of like, let's go out there and play the best we can. And if you win, you can hang your hat on forever and remember something that, another team has done. And if you lose, let's see how we played. Did you have some cherishable moments and things that you can build on?
McCallie head coach Joel Bradford has been named our Week 5 National Coach of the Week presented by Modern Football Technology. Coach Bradford's Blue Tornado seized the underdog role and delivered a statement win on Friday, September 19th, 2025, beating number 6 in the country, Mission Viejo, from California 25-14 at Spears Stadium. This recognition is presented by Modern Football Technology, the real-time analytics platform built for high school staffs to make smarter, faster decisions. With Live Scout for in-game tagging, instant drive, and situational reports, QB grading and practice tracking that turns reps into actionable data, Modern Football Technology helps coaching staffs align what they see with what the numbers confirm. Coaches use Modern Football Technology to tighten game plans, accelerate halftime adjustments, and close the loop from practice to Friday night execution. We're back for our Week 5 National Coach of the Week presented by Modern Football. It's hard to believe we're already 5 weeks into this. The season is flying by. We have another great performance we're going to recognize here. And this week, our National Coach of the Week is Joel Bradford, head coach at McCallie High School in Tennessee. Coach, it's great to have you here and congratulations on a big win this week.
Thank you, Keith, for having me, and thank you for the honor. Obviously, it's a group effort. There's a lot of people involved, but I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into talking about some things here, I want to make sure you have the opportunity to recognize that group effort. Like you said, all these kinds of awards are a collective, so I want to give you the opportunity to mention your staff and the players, obviously, who are a big part of this as well.
Yeah, I'll start with, our defense coordinator and former head coach who's still on. He was my head coach, Ralph Potter. To me, he's a legendary coach. He does a lot with the program and has done a lot. And then our linebackers coaches, Casey Cook and Chris Richardson. Our D-line coaches, Chris Harr. We got Kelsey Watson, the defensive backfield. Offensive side, we have Kenny Scholl. He's our running back coach. You got Mike Newman, longtime O-line coach. He's the magician behind it all. And then we got our receivers coach, Corey Simpson, tight ends coach, Thomas Battle, quarterbacks coach Jack Samsel, our special teams coach Brett Speakman. So, those guys work tremendously hard and obviously they help out with the plans and helping the kids execute the plan.
Well, Coach, you mentioned the coach you took over for, Ralph Potter. If anybody knows about Ralph, legendary in what he's done in his career, and that's not always easy to follow. But before we got going, you talked about, to me, the word perspective, and it's something that's, I think, really important in the way that you're approaching the game and the process behind it. And we'd love to have you share those ideas with our listeners about your perspective and the approach you take to the game.
Yeah, it's just when I first started, we were talking earlier about this, when I first started, everybody was like, man, you got big shoes to fill and it's a big program or, we've been very successful in the last several years. So now here you are, now you're taking the helm. And I'm like, I see it as a blessing, I can't put too much stress on myself to think about outcomes and think about how I'm going to do or anything like that. The only thing I can do is what I can control. And so for me to attack each day from a grateful standpoint, from a, place of gratitude, that to me, that's what keeps me, I guess, humble at what I do, but also it keeps me just focused on what I do. And, my job is to get the guys, get the players and the staff ready to play each week. and to play, and at the end of the season, play at their optimal level. And so that's my job. And at the same time, I want to love on the kids and see it as a ministry and see it as a moment of their lives where they can be impacted through the sport and through the mentors that are around them all the time. So, like we work too hard as coaches to be hard on ourselves. And I give a lot of credit to my wife, Courtney. So I think the coaches' wives are the unsung heroes because they sometimes hear all the potential negative stuff and the positive stuff. And she's like, can we talk about something other than football? So we have those conversations quite a bit. So she's the sounding board for me. But yeah, I just think it's about, I know it's cliche to say about we've got focus on the process, not the outcomes, but honestly, it's true. And I care about the objective is to win games and win a championship, but really what I care about is how the kids play the game. And I want them to play relentlessly for 4 quarters, physical, and rely on their execution and doing their job rather than emotion or entertainment stuff. It's like we have a job to do. And I think when the kids realize that if they do that and they feel that where they're executing at a high level and doing their job and playing for each other, special things can happen.
Yeah. As you were saying that, we always talk about the process, right? You hear that obviously made famous by Nick Saban, right? The process and staying focused on that. But I think you fold in something very important there in the perspective, in that approach, in that how that actually does feed the process, right? So we can't just say, well, here's the process, here's how we do it, be really rigid with those things, because it still comes down to, especially you as the leader, how am I approaching this? And there's a lot of different ways you can do it that really, we're talking about human processes, still human beings, right? So it will affect how they behave too. It will affect how they approach that process. Are they going to approach it with a growth mindset, or is it something that maybe feels so rigid that they're not growing as much as they need to?
Yeah. And it's like, I tell the team this and I tell myself this, and it's not to excuse anything, but one team in every conference or in every league or whatever division, one team wins the championship, right? And a lot of things go into that. And a lot of things, the ball bounces funny sometimes. So at the end of it all, what do you want to be? What do you want to remember? And then how do you want to be remembered as a team? And so from my point of view, it's like, we can't necessarily control our outcomes. So whether we win or lose, let's address how did we play, and let the scoreboard and the championships take care of themselves. And so when the kids focus on their task and how they play the game, then let's address it, win or lose, of what can we take from that moment? What can we take from that game? How can we learn from it? So sometimes you play bad and you lose. And it's like, well, we played bad. Let's learn from it. Sometimes you play bad and you win. And it's like, well, maybe it's the opponent, they're outmatched, but we've got a lot to learn from. And then same thing with winning. If we win and we play bad, or if we played well and we win, it's like, guys, that was huge. That was massive. But let's learn from, let's go from there. Let's build on that. And then if you play well and you lose, it's like, well, guys, I'm proud of the way you played. The ball bounced funny on this play, or, they made more plays than we did, but they earned the victory because we played well. And that's what it's about. So the bottom line is, let's play well. Let's do our job. Let's execute and let the chips fall where they fall.
Yeah, and in this particular case, the opponent you played, Mission Viejo, number 6 in the country at the time you were playing them. Been following them. Their head coach has been on the podcast before, and I know they do an excellent job. They've had some big wins over nationally ranked teams this season too, and sometimes just that opponent on paper coming in could be daunting, especially for high school kids. So I'm sure perspective was a big part of this too, in the approach that this is still about how we play the game. Obviously, you got the results you wanted this week. What's that look like for a program? I know you guys have played some big teams, in some ways becoming a national program, in that you've got to go outside of your area to play some teams and get some games. The approach there, I know I see a lot of teams who, as they get success, nobody in their area wants to play them. So it kind of is starting to apply to more and more teams. What advice do you have for getting into these kinds of games? And again, I think it does go back to what you've already shared, that perspective.
Yeah, it goes back to only one team wins a state championship. So then it's like, when you're 40 or 30 years old, or even just after you graduate high school, what do you want to remember? And to me, I remember a lot more losses than wins, yes. But I remember the big games. I remember the moments, the challenging moments. And so I told the team going into last week, number one, we got something to prove because we just came off a loss. We've got to get back to work and we got to get better. Number two, it doesn't get any easier. We're about to play the number 6 team in the nation. So y'all better buckle up, right? Or you're going to get exposed, which proves to the way you prepare and play the game and how you practice each week matters. And so you better be locked in. And then along with that, it's like, guys, you have something that no other McCallie team has ever done, to beat a top 10 team in the nation on our home field. And that's going to be a memory that can last forever and you can cherish forever. But if we lose against that top 10 team, you're also going to remember how you played against them, So win or lose, we need to go out and create a memory and seize that moment of like, let's go out there and play the best we can. Like that's all we can do, And if you win, man, something you can hang your hat on forever and remember something that, another team has done. And if you lose, okay, well, let's see how we played. And did you play well? Did you have some cherishable moments and things that you can build on? Or did you take and have some things that you can learn from, So like that was my mindset going to the game. And the kids, again, I have to not only know if they listen to me, but I had one of the players tell me Thursday night, I think it was our senior quarterback, and he goes, Coach, I have a feeling that our team is ready to play. Like, I just feel like something special. And so, the kids in the locker room, they can feel it more than I can. And so that kind of gave me some hope. But in terms of the victory and the result, I think it's huge for our program, for the kids to understand that, hey, how you play can, you can do special things. You can actually beat quality teams like Mission Viejo. Like if we play together and play well and do it for every play relentlessly for 4 quarters, like special things can happen and you give yourself the best chance to win. And so it gives them a memory for a lifetime, I think that night was it was a great spectacle for our school, like the pride, the student section, alumni coming back. I think it was family weekend. So a bunch of the families of our kids were here. And so they got to see a high level of football being played. So it was a unique experience, which, I'm biased, but I think being unbiased, I think our program and our school is pretty unique within itself too.
Yeah. And I think you would agree with this too. And teaching kids the approach you're taking, they see that, they're going to model that, and football will end for everybody. As coaches, we're lucky because we get to do it. We don't have a senior year. We can keep going till either we decide not to or someone decides that, we're not doing it anymore. When you're calling a defense on Friday night, guessing is dangerous. Jordan Ersick, defensive coordinator at Folsom High School, shared how modern football transformed their process. Instead of hoping they were on track, he and his staff had real-time numbers to guide every decision. Let's take a listen. Looking at doing this prior to using modern football, your ability to hit those goals compared to now is when you're looking at it in game.
I think it's huge. Last year, I think we saw 7 or 8 weeks in a row where we hit all 6 of our unit goals for the game for defense. It's huge in just having the numbers in real time and not assuming, being able to use those to influence your play calling and then use efficiency to help you get those calls is big. Before, what we would see is we were pretty good 4 out of 6, but we would usually miss 1 or 2, even in the games that we were winning.
You don't have to wait until the end of the season to get these kind of results. With modern football's in-game analytics, your staff can be up and running by this Friday night. The interface is simple, the onboarding is quick, and the impact is immediate. Go to modernfootball.com to start making smarter calls in real time.
One thing I told somebody last week, or I learned last year, really, but I told them last week, was like, man, what being a head coach does for me, it disciplines me to respond the right way every time because all the eyes are on me. So like if we lose or we don't, or something bad happens in a game, I can't freak out, And I was like that as a player, I just kind of put my head down and worked. I think that came from my dad. And I was, I had a chip on my shoulder. I was smaller than everybody. I had to outsmart people. I just had to kind of find ways to win. And so for me as a coach, I'm kind of the same way. But being a head coach, I have to check myself. And then when we win, you can't walk around like you did something. Right? You just got to be like, well, what a blessing, right? That was a great game. We got the result we wanted, but how did we play? I'm just like, that's what I'm more worried about. And the kids hear that all the time. It's like, we did it. We made enough plays to win or whatnot, or maybe our opponent was a factor in that. But yeah, it's fun being a head coach, but it's also hard because you got to discipline your thoughts and your reactions, key situations.
Well, and I think if that's something that you could pass on to your players through the experience and what they're learning from you, there's that ripple effect in life and really through what we do. I mean, I think that's what's so special about football coaches and what we do to touch a community, that positive or negative, what we do will have a ripple effect. And we obviously want to be on the positive side of things so that the impact we have through our players, through our communities is going to grow with everything that we do.
Yeah, I would hope they would always think of how they responded in football, their days playing football, later on in life when life hits, right? Life hits all of us. So it's all about how you think about it, how you respond to it. From being a husband, being a father, being a coworker, or relationship with coworkers and your family members, your in-laws. And there's so many things in life that you got to be able to kind of see the good in situations, like the blessings in situations. And then also if it's bad, you just got to be, okay, this is good. Like you got to have that mentality that this is good. And why is it good? Because, you have a chance to respond the right way. And if you can discipline yourself to respond right more than wrong, I think that's what you consider maybe success for some people,
Absolutely. Well, our world definitely needs more of that, Coach, and I appreciate you sharing that with us here. Congratulations again to you and the Blue Tornado. The start you've had to the season, the big win, and best wishes and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you, Keith, for having me, and it's a huge honor. And so, I think it's on behalf of the program. We thank you and everything you do for the game, and so it's been fun being on here. So go Blue.
Congratulations to Coach Bradford, his staff, and the Blue Tornado on a signature performance that showcased physicality, poise, and a clear plan start to finish. It's not too late to add in-game analytics. With modern football technology, the interface is simple, the onboarding is quick, and your staff can be live by Friday night. Schedule your demo and make smarter calls now. Go to modernfootball.com or click the link in the show notes.